Fast-moving wildfires across the prairies this Friday night.
The prognosis is not good.
The evacuations, complications, and communities looking after firefighters.
And they've been feeding around 150.
A proposed ceasefire deal between Israel and Hamas. What it supposedly guarantees and what Hamas is pushing for. Gone from the White House, but definitely not forgotten.
I'm at the President's service.
Elon Musk's failed promise and what his exit means for the U.S. Department of Government Efficiency. Plus, quest for the cup.
The Oilers did it again.
The elation over Edmonton's rematch against Florida.
Global National. Reporting tonight, Sonia Sunger.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. It's only the end of May and we're already facing a dire wildfire situation in Western Canada. Conditions are worsening across the prairies with Saskatchewan and Manitoba under states of emergency. Right now, the worst conditions are in Manitoba, where fierce winds are fanning towering flames, forcing entire communities to flee. More than 40 wildfires are burning out of control across Alberta, Saskatchewan, and Manitoba tonight. Health workers who had remained beyond Wednesday night's evacuation notice were forced out of Flin Flon near Saskatchewan's border today. Only firefighters and police remain. The mayor says there are real fears chunks of the city will be lost, and further north, even more are on the move.
We do expect some very, very challenging conditions in Flin Flon and in the surrounding community. Today we're going to see thousands of people moving out of northern Manitoba. The Canadian Armed Forces has accelerated their efforts.
Hundreds of firefighters from different provinces and reinforcements from the U.S. are on their way to Manitoba. We begin our coverage there with Melissa Ridgen and the crisis unfolding around the city of Flin Flon.
As the final residents made their way out of the northern Manitoba city of Flin Flon Friday, the community braces for potential devastation.
The prognosis is not good for today because the winds are predicted to be in the wrong direction and quite forceful, and the fire that they're pushing is massive.
As fires rage out of control, Mayor George Fontaine says most of the 5,000 residents evacuated smoothly, but the fear is some have not.
We've been picking up stragglers as of even last night, so I hope we've got everyone, because once we drive away, whoever's here, that's if they've decided that we put out the call over and over again, so if they've decided not to heed it, there's nothing we're going to be able to do about that.
Flin Flon's deputy mayor putting out one last plea.
Nobody is left for a MIN staff to help, so you need to call Red Cross and 211. That being said, there are emergency response people and firefighters still on the ground.
Another complication. A new fire has erupted along a main evacuation route.
We can't even go to the PAW. We have to veer off because there's a fire on the way down near Wanless and blocking the highway at this time.
The situation there is very, very serious, and we are doing everything that we can to preserve life, but also to preserve people's livelihoods and homes in the region.
Further north, reports of panic in the communities of Puckatawagan and Tatasquiac, where thick smoke and fast-moving flames are complicating air rescue efforts. Newly elected MP Rebecca Chartrand took to social media to reassure that help is on the way and urge calm, saying 4 aircrafts will continuously cycle between Norway House and Winnipeg until all are evacuated. Public Safety Minister David McGuinty shared photos of rescue efforts, showing evacuees packed into Hercules aircraft destined for Winnipeg. Premier Wab Kinew says this fire season has already maxed out provincial fire resources, and help from Western provinces and the U.S. is on the way. What isn't on the way? Rain. Hot temperatures are forecasted for most of the province all weekend. Melissa Ridgen, Global News, Winnipeg.
Thousands in Alberta are watching the weather as well as flames close in on rural communities. Residents in remote northern parts of the province are being told to get out and head south. There are now 28 wildfires burning out of control in Alberta, 4 more than yesterday. Heather Yourex-West reports on the rapidly evolving firefight.
With strong winds fanning the flames, more northern Alberta residents have been forced south. The long journey for many exhausted families ending in Edmonton, hours from home with nothing to do but wait.
Well, the evacuation is still in effect. We can't go home yet. I think it'll take a couple of days. The power's all out over there.
Powerful gusts whipped through Edmonton Thursday night, toppling trailers and forcing fans taking in the Oilers game at the outdoor Ice District watch party inside. East of the city, the winds caused a fire near the community of Piers to spread fast.
At 6 o'clock was half a hectare and is, grew to a couple hundred hectares before the storm passed through. So those winds really drove the fire across the province.
The flames from the Red Earth East Complex fire coming closest to the northern Alberta community of Chipewyan Lake. While the extent of any property damage is not known, a fire crew that had been working to protect structures in the community lost radio contact, becoming stranded overnight. They were rescued Friday morning.
There is the possibility of a front moving through, so we could see some rain on Saturday, Sunday. That might come with lightning.
And with temperatures in the mid to high 20s with wind until then, the danger is far from done. Heather Yourex-West, Global News, Calgary.
The fires are having a serious impact on air quality. In Alberta, the smoke has been moving north and east, largely away from Edmonton. Smoke from the biggest fire in Saskatchewan is going south, prompting an air quality advisory in several communities. Saskatoon hit a 10+ rating today, presenting a health risk, especially to people with respiratory issues. The smoke is drifting into the United States as well. The biggest fire in this country is burning in Saskatchewan. It's happening near the community of Candle Lake, about 2 hours north of Saskatoon. The fire is over 300,000 hectares in size. There are 14 other active fires in the province, none burning near any major population centers. But that could change depending on what happens with the weather. Our Gates Guarin is in Candle Lake tonight, monitoring that fire. Gates.
Yes, the situation continues to evolve here at Candle Lake. You can see the heavy smoke buildup around me and into the distance, and the smell of smoke is quite strong as well. Now, this out-of-control fire is now the largest one burning in the entire country. But as this small rural community monitors the situation, people here have also stepped up to help in any way they can.
Just big plumes and solid smoke.
Richard Lang calling Candle Lake home since 2013, describing the scenes of the wildfires right from his backyard.
It comes and goes. I live on the lakefront, so I can watch it every day. So it just depends what the weather's doing.
The ongoing situation threatening residents of the resort village of Candle Lake, only a few kilometers away from not just the province's largest fire, but the largest in the country, continuing to burn out of control. And while the area had barely a trace of fire Friday morning with clear blue skies, the shifting winds quickly blew smoke in by the afternoon, blanketing the community. But it's this community's members who have stepped up to keep first responders rested and ready and neighbors up to date.
They've been feeding around 150, maybe a little more than that, for breakfast, making lunches for them and making sure they have a good meal for supper.
The local curling rink has been transformed into a rest haven for dozens to take refuge, as the people here plan for the worst.
The people who are here are very active, very supportive. They support this community, and they're there in droves to help us.
As crews continue to battle the fire, the efforts of these community members aren't going unnoticed.
That's one of the reasons I like living here, is because everybody here looks after everybody, right? If something needs done, you pick up the phone, you need some help, you pick up the phone. Doesn't matter whether you know them or not, they'll come and help you.
Now, Candle Lake continues to receive up-to-date information from the Saskatchewan Public Safety Agency. The community remains under a voluntary evacuation order that many residents have already heeded. Now, ultimately, the provincial public safety officials will decide if the order becomes mandatory. Sonia?
All right, that's Gates Guarin in Candle Lake, Saskatchewan. Thanks very much. The biggest wild card for all of these communities is the weather. Global News Chief Meteorologist Anthony Farnell is joining us now. And Anthony, what are you expecting as we enter the weekend?
Sonia, the weather will play a crucial role in this firefight over the next couple of days. In front of us, this is a trough. It's the same front that moved through Alberta yesterday. 130 kilometer per hour wind gust at the airport in Edmonton. And those breezes from a different direction is the big concern with some of the fires out ahead of it in Saskatchewan and northern Manitoba. So that is moving through Friday evening. That wind shift, gusts in the 50 to 60 kilometer per hour range. And that also is impacting air quality. There are alerts in place across all three prairie provinces and are likely to be there for the foreseeable future until we get significant rain. There's no rain with that initial trough, but this next system does have the potential to bring heavier rain, especially in Alberta and extreme northern Saskatchewan. Unfortunately, for many of the out-of-control fires, it's just gusty winds, but it will be turning cooler to start next week. Here's a look at that rainfall potential. 20 to 40 millimeters of rain. That is the soaker that we need everywhere, but at least some communities will get relief this upcoming weekend. Sonia?
All right. Thanks very much, Anthony. A 14-year-old Ontario boy is charged with first-degree murder in the fatal stabbing of an elderly woman. She was attacked outside her home in Pickering yesterday afternoon. Police say there was a brief conversation between the suspect and the victim before the stabbing. A shelter-in-place order was lifted after the 14-year-old was arrested.
As of right now, I can still tell you this appears to be a random attack, and we do have no connection between the victim as well as the male that's in custody.
Police are calling it a sadistic and cowardly act. They are investigating reports a suspect was spotted in the area days before the killing. First Nations leaders and delegates from around British Columbia are converging on the province's central coast today to officially bring the Heiltsuk Nation's written constitution into effect. The historic document will be signed in Bella Bella, the heart of the Heiltsuk community. The Constitution has been in development for 2 decades and was designed to clear up questions of land management, resource development, and language that would otherwise be left to the courts. The Heiltsuk First Nation consists of some 2,500 members. Some breaking news now from a rally in Pittsburgh. U.S. President Donald Trump has announced that he's doubling his tariff on international steel imports.
We were getting our steel from Mexico. We were getting our steel from Canada. We were getting our steel from every place, but right here, we are going to be imposing a 25% increase. We're going to bring it from 25% to 50%, the tariffs on steel into the United States of America, which will even further secure the steel industry in the United States.
Trump is raising the sweeping 25% tariffs, which he imposed on steel in March, on top of duties on aluminum as well. The new rate will likely add more chaos to Canada and America's intertwined car industries, while also raising manufacturing costs for Americans. The special government employee leaving the White House. Coming up, the very public goodbye party for Elon Musk. President Donald Trump held a public send-off for his most high-profile supporter today. Elon Musk's time as a special government employee has come to an end, at least for now. Musk spent months spearheading drastic cuts to the U.S. government and its agencies. As Jackson Prosco reports, his legacy is complicated by personal turmoil and questionable results.
He promised to take a chainsaw to government spending.
If your taxpayer dollars are not spent in a sensible and frugal manner, then that's not okay.
In the end, Elon Musk cut thousands of federal jobs and dismantled agencies like USAID, but he delivered far less than the $2 trillion in savings he claimed he'd find.
Elon gave an incredible service.
In the Oval Office, Musk was given a formal send-off from his job at the so-called Department of Government Efficiency and vowed he's not going far.
So I look forward to continuing to be a friend and advisor to the president.
No surprise, given Musk was a fixture on the campaign trail and during the presidential transition. He stayed by Trump's side even after his widely criticized salute on Inauguration Day.
This is what victory feels like.
and after questions about drug use, which the New York Times reports went beyond occasional use and regularly included the powerful sedative ketamine.
Let's move on. Okay, then next question. The overall goal here with the Doge team is to help address the enormous deficit.
At the White House, Musk was regularly invited into cabinet meetings and the Oval Office. It's expected he'll remain a major player in Trump world.
He's going from a co-starring role in the Trump show to that of a recurring character who shows up when they need a ratings booster for holiday specials.
As for his work cutting costs, Musk insists Doge will continue even if it can't find all $2 trillion he promised to save.
So I think we do expect over time to achieve the $1 trillion.
Jackson Prosco, Global News, Washington.
And ahead, proposed peace, the status of a ceasefire deal that's desperately needed in Gaza. Devastation in Nigeria today after torrential rains led to deadly flooding in central and northern parts of the country. At least 111 people have died. Officials say the flood struck when residents were mostly asleep, raising fears that more bodies will be found in homes that have been swept away. Hamas says it's reviewing a proposed plan for a ceasefire in Gaza, but it fails to meet key demands. The White House says the deal is close and that Israel has agreed to the 60-day truce. It would include the exchange of Israeli hostages, living and dead, for more than 1,000 Palestinian prisoners. Redmond Shannon reports.
Every night in Gaza and every morning. This man says people had just heard about a possible ceasefire only to be targeted by airstrikes. The proposed deal brokered by Egypt, Qatar and the US is reportedly for a 60-day pause. Hamas would hand over just over half of the living and dead hostages still in Gaza, and Israel would free more than 1,200 prisoners and the bodies of 180 Palestinians.
Well, they're very close to an agreement on Gaza.
The White House says Israel has agreed, but Hamas insists a ceasefire must be permanent.
Everybody has a stake in this, starting with the United States. President Trump needs a win. Netanyahu is under both domestic and international pressure. And finally, Hamas. Hamas gets 60 days to breathe, literally.
The deal also reportedly guarantees a full resumption of aid.
Gaza is the hungriest place on earth.
The United Nations says most of its aid is still being blocked as it refuses to take part in the US-backed aid distribution plan that began this week.
The alternative that they have suggested is neither impartial, independent, or workable.
French President Emmanuel Macron says he is considering sanctions on Israel.
If we abandon Gaza, if we consider there is a free pass for Israel, even if we do condemn the terrorist attacks, we kill our own credibility in the rest of the world.
And on Friday, Germany said its future weapons shipments to Israel depend on the humanitarian situation improving. Redmond Shannon, Global News, London.
Coming up next, the new Spelling Bee champ. Can you spell the winning word?
Éclaircissement.
Éclaircissement. E-C-L-A-I-R-C-I-S-S-E-M-E-N-T.
That is correct.
Wow, a Texas teen nailed the winning word at the legendary Scripps National Spelling Bee. The 13-year-old didn't even ask the meaning, which is, in case you're wondering, a clearing up of something obscure. He just smiled, pumped his fists, and collapsed in a shower of confetti. Faison Zaki, who was the runner-up last year, wins more than $50,000 in cash and prizes. Hockey fans across the country are circling June 4th on the calendar. That's game one of a rematch of last year's Stanley Cup Finals between the Edmonton Oilers and the Florida Panthers. The Panthers may have won last time, but as Jasmine King reports, the Oilers and their fans aren't letting history or a little superstition stop them from dreaming big.
Edmonton Oilers fans were buzzing early on into Game 5. Thousands of fans gathered in downtown Edmonton watching the game on the big screen outdoors. but thunderstorms and strong winds changed those plans.
If you want to come inside, the doors are right there.
However, the party didn't stop. Fans watching the final 20 minutes inside Rogers Place, and Oil Country celebrated the club's second straight Stanley Cup final appearance against the Florida Panthers.
Words can't express the way I feel. The Oilers did it again. They impressed us, and we're going to the Stanley Cup final.
I was here last year when we beat Dallas in 6. So this year we did it in 5. I think going and playing Florida again, it's all about redemption. We're going to get them.
A day later, fans are still taking in the win, buying new Western Conference champions merchandise and anxiously awaiting a rematch with the Panthers.
What better team to play against than the one that beat them last year? So I think it's going to be pretty fun.
It's been more than 30 years since a Canadian team last lifted the Stanley Cup, so Oilers fans are hoping this is the year it returns.
My parents met after the '84 Cup, so thank you, Wayne Gretzky. I'm here because of the Oilers. Bring it home, let me get just a little touch of it.
Connor McDavid getting a touch of the Clarence Campbell Trophy Thursday night. It goes to the Western Conference champion, and McDavid hopes it brings some good luck.
Pretty obvious, I think. Don't touch it last year, don't win. Touch it this year, hopefully we win.
And fans back home are hoping for the same. Jasmine King, Global News, Edmonton.
And that is Global National for this Friday night. I'm Sonia Senger. Tonight's Year Canada showcases this patriotic birdhouse in Campbellton, Newfoundland and Labrador, a gazebo in Banff, Alberta, and a handmade Canadian flag in Bancroft, Ontario. Please keep sending your pictures of Canadian pride to Global National at globalnews.ca. Thanks for watching. Chris Galis will be at the anchor desk tomorrow. Have a great weekend.